Ring around the rosy, pocket full of posies. Ashes, we all fall down.
Throughout history, humanity has faced enemies too small to see, but powerful enough to reshape civilizations. Take the Black Death, Yersinia pestis, a bacterium that swept through Europe in the 14th century. In just a few years, it killed nearly half the population. Cities collapsed, economies froze, families vanished. It was a catastrophe so severe that it rewrote history itself. Centuries later, modern medicine gave us tools to fight disease, but new threats still emerged. One of the most feared was Ebola. First identified in the 1970s, Ebola is ruthless. Mortality rates often climb over 50%, sometimes higher. In some outbreaks, 3 out of every 4 infected never walked away. It spreads through direct contact with bodily fluids, and when it strikes hard and fast. And here's the truth. Viruses like these don't just disappear. They are still with us today, locked away in labs around the world, including right here in the United States. These high-security facilities study and contain the most dangerous pathogens known to man. One mistake, one breach, could unleash devastation on a scale we can barely comprehend. That's why the precautions are so strict, and why those of us who've worked in these environments take health threats very seriously. But then came something different, something the world had never quite seen before.
CDC is roiled by debate around COVID-19 vaccine.
Covid-19. At first, it seemed like another respiratory virus, maybe similar to the flu. But the deeper I studied it, the more it stood out. Covid-19 spreads with unusual efficiency. Unlike Ebola, which burns hot and fast, Covid lingers. People can carry it for weeks without knowing. Entire households and communities can be exposed before a single symptom appears. That makes it one of the most effective carriers I've ever studied. Even stranger was the way it affected people differently. Some got mild symptoms, others ended up in intensive care. Some recovered quickly, while others struggled for months. I observed clear signs that genetic factors, DNA markers, immune system differences played a role in how the virus attacked. Covid didn't just infect people randomly. It seemed to exploit vulnerabilities at a genetic level, targeting individuals in ways I've rarely seen with other viruses. Now, here's my professional opinion. From everything I've studied from my work as a viro-oncologist, I believe Covid-19 is more than just a naturally occurring virus. Its genetic structure, its adaptability, and the precision of how it affects people all raise red flags. To me, it looks and behaves like a biological agent, not as lethal as Ebola, not as ancient as the plague, but far more calculated in its design. Almost perfect for spreading widely while evading early detection. And then there's the issue of masks. Early on, the public was told that cloth masks or simple surgical masks would protect them. But from my perspective, those offered little to no defense against a pathogen like Covid-19. True protection requires high-grade filtration, full coverage, and strict protocols, like what professionals use in containment labs. What most people wore on the streets wasn't real protection. At best, it was a symbol. At worst, it was a compliance test. Who would follow the rules, regardless of whether they worked? That's my personal view, based on what I've seen and studied. Now I want to end with an important disclaimer. I've worked in virology, and I've studied viruses directly. But I am not a practicing medical doctor. What I've shared here comes from my research, my professional background, and my personal experiences. This video is for educational purposes only. It is not medical advice, and it should not replace the guidance of licensed healthcare providers. That said, I stand by what I've studied and what I've seen. My goal isn't to frighten you, but to help you understand. Because in the end, knowledge is the strongest protection.